Understanding the World New Order, or why leadership must evolve. In a world changing by the minute, static leadership is suicidal. Hello and welcome to Reinvent Yourself, the Leadership Evolution podcast, where we bridge timeless Indian wisdom and modern global leadership practices. I'm your host, and in this 7-part series, we'll dive deep into how the World New Order is reshaping leadership and how you can apply it in your organization. In today's episode, we begin at the foundation. What exactly is the World New Order, and why does leadership need to transform now more than ever? What is the World New Order? Let's clear the buzz first. The World New Order is not about conspiracy theories, it's about a visible, powerful shift in global consciousness and systems. We are moving from control to collaboration, profit to purpose, speed to sustainability, hierarchy to distributed leadership. It's being shaped by 4 forces: technology acceleration, AI, blockchain, remote work, planetary urgency, climate, ESG, circular economy, human awakening, mental health, empathy, conscious capitalism, decentralized governance, rise of local, agile systems. This shift demands one thing: a new kind of leadership. Why old leadership no longer works? Let's be real. Leadership models based on authority, compliance, and linear decision-making are breaking down. Why? Because they don't address emotional safety, collective intelligence, moral responsibility, adaptive learning. Today's world doesn't want rulers. It wants listeners, enablers, and visionaries. What the new world demands from leaders: here's what the new order expects from leaders: clarity of vision but grounded in collective good. Emotional intelligence to lead hearts, not just systems. Decentralization, empowering others, not controlling them. Value-driven decision-making, not just financial KPIs. Purpose-led strategy, where business meets betterment. If you are in a leadership role or want to be, ask yourself, am I guiding by ego or by empathy? Am I leading with control or through co-creation? Action point for leaders this week: do a 30-minute leadership reflection. What world am I preparing my organization for? What values guide my decisions? What kind of culture am I tolerating vs creating? Write down 3 key changes you want in your own leadership style. In the next episode, we'll dive into rethinking leadership through values, mindset, and behavior, and how to unlearn what's no longer working. If you enjoyed this, share it with a fellow leader. And don't forget, the future doesn't need managers, it needs mindful visionaries. Real leadership begins where ego ends and empathy begins. How should leadership evolve in mindset, values, and daily behavior? We'll explore what new age leadership looks like, how to practice it, and most importantly, how to live it. Leadership is no longer a title. In the old world, leadership was about hierarchy. In the new world, it's about influence and alignment. Today, leaders aren't those with fancy titles. They're the ones who ask the right questions, create emotional safety, inspire shared responsibility, think long-term, act daily. Leadership is no longer about being the loudest voice. It's about being the most conscious presence in the room. The 5 shifts of new age leadership. Let's explore the 5 powerful shifts every leader must make. 1. From directive to reflective. Old, do as I say. New, let's reflect on what's right. Do. From control to trust. Old, micromanage. New, empower, then support. Teen. From charisma to character. Old, flash and fame. New, integrity, humility, presence. Char. From output to outcome. Old, focus on quantity. New, focus on purposeful impact. 5. From fear-based to value-based leadership. Old, compliance through fear. New, commitment through values. The inner game of leadership. You cannot change your team until you first transform yourself. The outer world is a reflection of the leader's inner world. Ask yourself, do I pause before I react? Do I reflect before I decide? Do I include voices that challenge me? Mindfulness isn't a luxury anymore, it's a leadership skill. Indian wisdom meets modern leadership. From the Bhagavad Gita to Chanakya Niti, India has long emphasized Nishkama Karma, lead without attachment to results. Dharma, led from duty, not desire. Lokasangraha, uplift the whole, not just the self. This isn't spiritual philosophy, this is strategic leadership for a sustainable future. Action tip: build your leadership values framework. This week, write your leadership values charter. Identify your top 3 values: integrity, growth, empathy. Ask, are these reflected in my actions? Share this with your team. Invite them to hold you accountable. Remember, a leader's clarity gives the team courage. We'll explore how to transform your organization by putting these leadership values into action through strategy, culture, and people systems. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to rate and share. Let's build a community of leaders who don't just perform, but transform. Until next time, lead with presence, live with purpose. How do you actually transform your organization in alignment with new age leadership? This episode is all about actionable steps, real strategies, and leadership rituals that spark lasting change. Why most change initiatives fail? Here's a tough truth. Most organizational change fails not because the vision was wrong, but because the execution lacked culture alignment. Over-dependence on strategy, under-investment in mindset, resistance from people, lack of reinforcement. Real change doesn't happen through PowerPoints, it happens through people. 5-Step Organizational Transformation Framework. Here's a practical roadmap to reinvent your organization. 1. Purpose activation workshops. Your teams must feel a reason bigger than just profits. Ask, why do we exist? Clarify your collective purpose. Let teams co-create this vision. When people feel part of the why, they'll commit to the how. Do. Build shared leadership circles. Empower internal leaders at every level, not just the top. Create mentorship pods. Rotate facilitation. Invite silent voices to speak. Leadership becomes culture when everyone owns it. Team. Create psychological safety. People can't grow if they feel unsafe. Establish no blame zones. Reward learning from failure. Host anonymous suggestion forums. Google's #1 predictor of high-performing teams' psychological safety. 4. Align systems with values. If your values say empathy, but your policies say control, you are killing trust. Redesign appraisal systems. Make inclusion part of KPIs. Review hiring practices for bias. 5. Celebrate the culture you want. Ritualized recognition. Make values visible. Monthly Value Champion awards. Publicly recognize people who challenge systems for good. Build feedback into the workflow. What gets rewarded gets repeated. A real-world example. Let's look at Zoho Corporation, a global tech company based in India. They transformed by investing in rural talent, creating autonomous leadership units, removing rigid designations in many teams, prioritizing trust over tracking. Result: high retention, culture of ownership, global success with Indian values. Action tip: run a Culture Pulse survey. Here's your leadership challenge for the week. Ask 3 simple, anonymous questions to your team. Do you feel safe to share bold ideas here? Are our actions aligned with our stated values? What's one policy or practice you'd love to change? Use the answers as fuel for your next team discussion. We zoom into the heart of transformation, team culture. Because without trust, communication, and shared values, even the best strategy will collapse. If this helped you rethink your leadership, hit share and tag someone. Building culture with courage. Until next time, build boldly, lead consciously. Culture is the leadership laboratory. Culture is not written in policies, it's revealed in how people behave under pressure. How does culture shape leadership, and how can leaders shape culture? Let's find out how to build a culture that empowers, includes, and evolves. What is culture, really? Culture isn't your slogan or annual retreat. It's how people speak to each other when things go wrong. Make decisions when no one is watching. Handle feedback, failure, and friction. In short, culture is leadership made visible. Foundations of empowering culture. To build a leadership-friendly culture, focus on these 5 pillars. 1. Psychological safety. People must feel safe to speak, dissent, and question. No one should fear being wrong in a meeting. Leaders should say things like, I may be missing something. What do you think? Let's experiment. Even if it fails, we'll learn. Do. Trust as default. Micromanagement kills culture. Instead, try delegating authority, not just responsibility. Trusting people to work remotely, flexibly, humanly. Letting outcomes speak louder than ours. Team. Transparent communication. Avoid hidden agendas and unclear expectations. Do. Weekly leadership updates. Team-wide OKR reviews. Radical candor in feedback. 4. Celebration of diversity. Great cultures aren't uniform. They're inclusive. Respect neurodiversity, generational diversity, cultural backgrounds. Celebrate all festivals. Listen to introverts as much as extroverts. Inclusion is a habit, not a policy. 5. Rituals of belonging. Rituals create identity. Try Gratitude Fridays, silent check-ins, to start meetings. Monthly storytelling circles where team members share personal journeys. Case study: an Indian handmade carpet company transformed culture by letting rural artisans sign their carpets, giving weavers a voice in product design, building a deep culture of dignity and community. Leadership wasn't top-down, it was woven into every knot of the carpet. Create a culture map. This week, try this team exercise. Ask your team, what 3 words describe our team culture today? What 3 words should describe it in the future? What one behavior do we need to change first? Display these answers in a common area. Let the map guide small, consistent actions. Policy is the compass, process is the path. How do your policies and processes either empower or paralyze leadership? Let's dive into building systems that support people, not just performance. Why policies need a leadership overhaul? Let's be honest, most policies are written for compliance, not for inspiration. They're long, rigid, and assume people can't be trusted. But in the new world order, leadership is about empowering teams, encouraging autonomy, promoting agility, embedding values into systems. Your policies should say, we trust you and we expect you to rise to that trust. Policy shift: modern policies are principle-based, not rule-heavy. Let's break this down: restrictive or punitive, flexible or trust-based, written for the few who must behave, designed for the many who want to grow. Top-down rules, co-created guidelines, punishment-focused, development-focused. Think of Netflix's famous no vacation policy. You can take time off whenever, just make sure your team and goals are in sync. That's trust in action. Systems every future-ready organization needs. Let's now look at the core systems you should reimagine. People policies: replace leave approval with leave responsibility. Offer mental health days, not just sick days. Introduce hybrid and outcome-based working. Performance systems: shift from quarterly ratings to real-time coaching. Make emotional intelligence part of KPIs. Include team contribution, not just individual metrics. Decision governance: involve team leads in setting strategy. Rotate decision ownership in pilot projects. Use decision logs to build learning culture. AI or automation ethics: ensure AI tools don't create surveillance culture. Design AI with human-centered intent. Keep human review mandatory for sensitive decisions. ESG or sustainability: go beyond compliance. Link bonuses to environmental and social goals. Publish transparent sustainability dashboards. Governance isn't just about controls, it's about consciousness. Case study: Infosys, value-driven systems. Infosys transformed its internal systems with leadership by values, training, sustainability integrated into financial planning, and upskilling KPIs tied to performance bonuses. The result? Global trust, consistent transformation, leader pipeline at every level. Policy audit challenge. This week, do a mini leadership policy audit. Ask yourself, does this policy reflect trust or fear? Is it empowering or controlling? Would I follow this policy if I weren't forced to? Revise one small policy this month to align with your leadership values. India's leadership voice in the new world. India doesn't lead through domination, it leads through dharma. What does India, as a timeless civilization, offer to the leadership models of the new world? How can India's ancient values and modern examples shape conscious leadership globally? Let's dive into India's unique leadership DNA. From empire to ecosystem. In history, power was defined by control and conquests. But Indian leadership always stood apart. It was never about ruling over, it was about uplifting with. From the Vedas to the Upanishads, from Ashoka to Gandhi, leadership was rooted in ethics, driven by purpose, anchored in service. Lokasangraha, upliftment of all, was the leader's ultimate duty. Indian leadership principles the world needs. Let's explore 5 timeless Indian leadership ideals and how they apply today. Dharma over desire: lead with righteousness, not personal ambition. In organizations, this means taking ethical decisions even when profit is at stake, protecting people over quarterly goals, saying no to growth that harms the planet. Nishkama karma: act without attachment to results. Focus on intention and effort. Don't micromanage outcomes. Encourage learning over blame. Teen Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. Build inclusive, multicultural workplaces. View customers, vendors, and teams as partners. Think long-term impact, not short-term wins. Seva Bhav, spirit of service. Leadership is service, not status. Be accessible to your team. Support without ego. Led by example, not position. Sahishnutta, tolerance and patience. Great leadership allows space for different opinions. Embrace debate. Encourage dissent. Slow down to reflect. Indian leaders who lived these ideals. Let's bring these concepts to life with a few inspiring examples. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, scientist. President. Teacher. Led with humility, vision, and relentless optimism. Taught children even during presidency. Verghese Kurian. The milk revolution built Amul as a cooperative. Farmers became owners. Empowered rural India through self-sufficiency. Leadership as systemic empowerment. Ratan Tata rejected short-term profits for long-term integrity. Protected employee jobs during crises. Stood for trust, not just turnover. Narayana Murthy. Infosys made corporate governance a national conversation. Shared wealth through ESOPs. Proved Indian ethics and global success can go hand in hand. Applying Indian wisdom in your organization. You don't have to be a saint or a sage to apply these principles. Here are 5 small ways to start. Start meetings with silence or gratitude. Anchor your team in presence and awareness. Create a value of the month ritual. Empathy, patience, duty. Rotate them as themes. Celebrate diversity. Honor regional languages, cultures, and stories. Encourage moral courage. Reward those who stand for ethics, not just results. Serve your team. Ask weekly, how can I support you better as your leader? Leadership reflection from the Gita. Each evening, ask yourself, did I lead with dharma or desire today? Did I serve or seek control? Did I uplift someone through my leadership? Let this 3-question ritual guide your journey. Resistance, change or real impact. The leadership test. Real transformation isn't resisted because it's wrong, but because it feels unfamiliar. How do leaders deal with resistance, sustain change, and create lasting impact? Because no matter how good your vision, policies, or culture, if you can't handle resistance, your leadership will break down at the first real challenge. Resistance is natural, not negative. Let's be clear. Resistance isn't proof that people don't care, it's proof that people are scared. They fear losing control, losing identity, failing in the new system, being left behind. And so, as a leader, your job is not to crush resistance, it's to listen to it, learn from it, and lead through it. The 6 stages of leading change. Here's a 6-stage framework to lead real transformation through resistance. 1. Awareness. Explain the why behind the change. Let people see the bigger picture. Tip. Use storytelling, not just numbers. 2. Alignment. Connect the change with people's personal goals and values. Tip. Show how the change helps them grow. Involvement. Let them co-create the solution. Tip. Invite people into strategy design. Give ownership. 4. Enablement. Train them. Support them. Give them space to learn. Tip. Create safe to fail zones. 5. Reinforcement. Celebrate small wins. Share success stories. Tip. Highlight cultural heroes, not just revenue numbers. Chair. Reflection. Pause. Evaluate. Adjust. Tip. Use anonymous feedback loops, listening circles. Real-world case study. The silent flip. Let's look at a real organization that flipped resistance into impact. A mid-sized textile firm in India wanted to go sustainable. They announced a shift to organic dyes and plastic-free packaging. Result: massive pushback. Workers said, "We've done it this way for years." Sales said, "Customers only care about price." But the leadership didn't back down. Instead, they hosted weekly learning sessions on environmental impact. Took workers to see organic factories. Let sales teams speak directly with new age buyers. Gave employees time and freedom to adapt. 1 year later, export partnerships grew. Brand value soared. Employees took pride in the transformation. Resistance wasn't crushed, it was converted into belief. Inner work for outer impact. Here's the truth. The greatest resistance we face as leaders isn't from others, it's from within ourselves. We fear being wrong, being judged, losing our image, slowing down. Leadership is not about being fearless. It's about being truthful despite the fear. So build your inner practices, daily reflection, mentorship circles, journaling your leadership journey, practicing silence before speaking. Leadership Listening Ritual. This week, do this simple but powerful exercise. Host a 30-minute open session with your team. Ask one question: what part of this change do you find difficult? Just listen. No defense. No fixing. Close with, "Thank you. You've helped us grow as leaders." Do this once a month. You'll transform resistance into trust. Let's recap the 7-part leadership evolution journey. Understand the world new order, rethink leadership values and behavior. Transform your organization step by step. Design culture that empowers. Build systems that align with your soul. Learn from India's timeless wisdom. Lead through resistance with empathy and courage. Leadership today isn't about command, it's about conscious contribution. It's about knowing that the world is changing, the systems are evolving, but only the awakened will lead it. Thank you for listening to Reinvent Yourself. If this series has helped you reflect, grow, or reimagine your leadership, please leave a comment and share it with your network. If this inspired you, share it with someone who leads with their heart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow our series, Reinvent Yourself and Conceal the Leader Within. Let's bring back value-based leadership, one story at a time.